So MGID is a programmatically enabled recommendation platform that has 16 offices around the world and has about 750 employees, out of which 500 employees were based in Kyiv prior to the war. All the R&D staff, all the back office was based in Ukraine, and primarily majority of the people actually stayed there. So the war, like for 99% of the people in Ukraine, came as a surprise, though the country was getting a lot of warnings from the US intelligence specifically, but no one believed that was going to happen. And we had a pretty decent operation in Russia. Before the war, we were #1 native content recommendation network there as well. Immediately after the, as Russians called it, military operation, but it's a real war close to genocide. When it started, we shut down all the operations in Russia, and we tried to move all of our staff to safer areas in the west of the country. Some of the people, especially women and children, were able to leave the country, and the majority of them are currently in Poland. And yes, it was a very devastating experience because for about a week and a half, my family, for example, had to be hiding in the basement. The regular shelling and rockets were flying over our house, and from the windows of our house, we could see dozens of military helicopters flying towards Kyiv and in an effort to conquer the city.
Yeah, I can only imagine what you and your colleagues have been through. How was your office set up? I mean, during the pandemic, a lot of people were working remotely. Did any of that kind of thing help you as far as reestablishing your operations?
Yeah, no, we didn't have any disruption in the service to our clients, and even when we had to hide in the basement, we were working. We were all online, and we were providing the service as usual. But in Ukraine, no one remembers already what COVID is currently because of the other problems that we have. But COVID actually helped us to establish the operations in the way that is where it does not really matter where you are as long as you have an internet connection. But we did have about 40,000 square feet office in Kyiv, where majority of the people were working before.
And amid this crisis, you actually acquired a majority stake in a company, a native advertising network based in Italy, MedUp Native. I mean, that's astonishing to me that you were actually working on deals and you got something done. Could you tell us a bit more about this deal with MedUp?
Yeah, first of all, despite the fact that the situation in Ukraine is critical from no matter from which side you're going to look at it, we never stopped a single initiative that we were doing. We are still continuing to develop the product. We are continuing to support the clients, and we are continuing all the business development initiatives that we were planning before. Our strongest markets aside of US and Central Europe, where we are naturally quite strong, were the Asia Pacific market and Latin American markets. But since 2018, we started working together with the Italian company called MedUp, and that was a kind of first attempt us going into a Western European market. And besides besides having similar business goals and similar practices and similar understanding on how the market is going to be evolving, we found that the company that we were able to create a partnership with was quite close to us emotionally and was sharing the same values with regards to how we are treating the business and the clients on both sides, both publishers and advertisers. And we actually started negotiations about acquiring MetUp in October of last year. And we are very happy. We were very happy to announce this deal that we were able to finalize a couple of weeks ago. So, and this is a very important deal for us because aside from giving us their expertise in technology, and MetUp is quite a sophisticated company in the programmatic environment in the Italian market. Also, it gives us a perfect opportunity to enter the other Western European markets, and this is something that we're going to be doing this year and the next one.
And I'm curious how your relationships have been with your clients, because there's a lot of misinformation out there about what's going on. People don't know what to expect, whether they're Ukrainian, whether to work with a company based in Ukraine, these possible interruptions. Could you just tell us about what's happening with misinformation and what you're doing to try to combat that?
We, first of all, with regards to the clients, you have to be close to your clients, not only emotionally, but in the majority of the markets physically, because especially in Asia Pacific markets, for example, the advertisers, they need to understand that the people in the countries where they're getting the service, they're located in the same country, they're speaking the same language, they have the same culture. So like I told before, we have 16 offices, and all the business relationship is basically managed through our international offices. So I don't think any client of ours noticed any kind of disruption other than Russian clients as well, because they don't have access to the system anymore. But with regards to the disinformation campaigns and all kinds of propaganda efforts from the side of Russia, yes, we did receive some of the questions from our clients, but there was not a single client that would have believed all the lies and all the propaganda that is just distributed through social media or through all the other communication channels from Russia. On our side, what we did, and it's a very encouraging and exciting experience to see how the advertising industry joined forces and self-organized itself in order to fight propaganda and in order to distribute the truth, the real information about what is happening in Ukraine to the world, and including to the Russian and Belarusian people, because Russia stopped having free media probably like in 2013, and majority of the free media websites or TV channels were either prohibited or blocked by Roskomnadzor, which is the center of Russian propaganda. And it was really important for us to try to deliver the truth, to try to tell the Russian people that this is not a military operation, how they call it. This is a real war, that up until now, there were close to 19,000 Russian soldiers that were killed in Ukraine. There are hundreds of women that were raped by Russian soldiers, and that there are tens of thousands of civilians that were killed in, during all the bombardments or all the shelling that was done against the cities in Ukraine. So what we essentially did, we wrote an open letter to the industry where we invited our colleagues, our partners, and even our competitors to try to help us to distribute this information and to fight the misinformation that that Russia is trying to distribute from their side. So it was surprising for me that even some direct competitors of ours, they actually joined some of our efforts, and they were providing their inventory, they were providing their creative teams in order to help us to fight in this war. And this is not only about like programmatic and digital advertising industry, this is about the media partners as well. And now we are fighting on the front of social media, where Russia is doing a lot of efforts in order to try to remove the information that is not quite comfortable for the Russian government. And I would like to mention that Meta and Facebook specifically were really cooperative and are, I cannot say they're helping one of the sides, but they are listening to us, and they are coming to different conclusions and updating their algorithms in order not to allow for some intrusions into how their system is operating, and in order to basically really respect the basics of freedom of speech.
Looking back, just about 2.5 months ago, 2 to 3 months ago, I don't think anyone could have predicted what was going to happen. And I'm just kind of curious, what do you expect to happen in the next few weeks, months, or year? I know things are difficult to predict, but is there anything you can say about what happens next?
Yeah, I'm actually the one to blame that we were not able to move the company before the war started to somewhere to a safer area outside of Ukraine, because I was not I was the one that did not believe that something like a war would happen between Russia and Ukraine. And so I'm not the one to provide you with the best forecasts with regards to what's going to happen with Russia, because it's a tyranny now, and it's unpredictable. It's you cannot negotiate with them. You either win or surrender to them, which is definitely something that Ukraine is not going to commit to. So I think that the war is going to continue for some period of time, and I'm not sure if it's months, but at least we are talking about months, hopefully not years. Definitely Ukraine is going to win. Russia already lost everywhere. Their economy is going to be suffering. There is no respect to Russian government, and basically Russia is back to where the Soviet Union was, like in the end of the 90s, or actually beginning of the 90s of the last century. Ukraine is going to continue to be the independent country, and is not going to surrender to anyone. With regards to what's going to be happening with MGID, I think that we are going to strive, and like I told you before, we are not going to stop any efforts, both from business development side as well as from product development side. We are continuing to be searching for additional partners and additional acquisition opportunities for ourselves. We are working on the new features and new parts of products that are going to be developed both for our advertisers and publishers. Currently, we are working on 2 major things and 2 major improvements of our system, which is kind of a single box of audience retention tools that would allow to increase the page views of every publisher from 10 to 20% without doing any specific configuration or doing any sophisticated technical implementation of the codes or anything else. And the other part of the product that we're working on, we are improving our performance-based DSP that is going to be utilized both by in order to acquire audiences and to generate leads for our advertisers internally in the system, as well as it's already connected to majority of the leading SSPs in the world. And I hope, I'm sure it's going to be generating quite decent results for our advertisers, and it's not going to be based on the personalized data, but rather on the slices of audiences, as well as on the contextual engine that we developed in-house.